My question is to the President of Treasury Board. Friday, your government was forced to defend the indefensible, spending almost $54,000 to purchase luxury Canada Goose jackets for Ministry of Children and Youth Services staff. At the same time, the ministry was cutting funding to children with autism treatment. Speaker, does this government still support the purchase of $1,000 luxury winter jackets?
Thank you. President, Treasury Board.
Minister of Children and Youth Services.
Minister of Children and Youth Services.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And first, I want to talk a little bit about the statement that the member made opposite in regards to autism funding. Number one, the member knows clearly that this is the largest single investment into autism in the history of this country, $500 million. So when she goes around making comments that we've actually made cuts, that's not factual. Number one. Number two, the member opposite knows that we run youth correctional facilities right across this province, and we have youth facilities in Northern Ontario. It gets cold up there.
I still care. Finish, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as I was saying, it gets cold in Northern Ontario, as the members opposite would understand.
It's my job. The member from Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke is warned. Nothing's changing. Time is up. Supplementary.
Back to the President of Treasury Board, because the minister's just digging himself a bigger hole. Children with autism were looking for your government for help. Children in child protection look to the government to protect them from predators. Some of our province's most vulnerable needed our government to step up. And what did you do instead? They learned that you're buying high-end luxury Canada Goose jackets while they sit on waiting lists. Speaker, will the President of Treasury put a stop to the purchasing of high-end luxury goods for their staff? Yes or no?
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, as I was saying, in Northern Ontario, it sometimes dips below 40 degrees. And
I know, I've been there.
40 below. So, Mr. Speaker, there's uniforms that are required for our staff in these facilities. We have a simple procurement process here in the province of Ontario that not only this government has used, but other governments have used. So what we do, if the members don't know how the process works, we put out a request, we ask for supplies, and the quotes come in. We have a process that is arm's length, that allows for non-political interference, and we take the best offer made. And in this case, it happened to be the best offer made. These are coats that have a 10-year guarantee. They're used as members and staff work within those facilities. They're transferred from staff to staff.
Thank you.
The government of Ontario owns these.
Final supplementary.
You know, if you were so proud of this purchase, why did it take almost 6 months and a Freedom of Information request, which, by the way, you blocked? What, if you're so willing to defend this, then why did it take 6 months? You are suggesting the only vendor who had any ability to provide these quotes
Chair,
was
please.
Canada Goose. Through the Speaker, then table the tendering documents and prove to the families in Ontario that the money was well spent, because at this point, nobody believes you, Minister.
Thank you. Minister?
Mr. Speaker, first of all, we get the best possible price based on the process we have in place. And in this case, these quotes were heavily discounted, the quotes that we received. You know, it's interesting that the lead-off question by the progressive Conservative parties around quotes that are keeping staff warm, while we're focusing on it.
Stop the clock. Besides the first one, we're very close to warnings. Finish, please.
You know, Mr. Speaker, we put in place processes in government to ensure that there are no political interference when it comes to purchasing products. This process is a government process that's put in place where bids come in, and there was a substantial discount. The member knows clearly opposite that if you release all the tendering prices in any type of competitive process, then it puts the supplier at a disadvantage in the future. And you claim to be the party that knows business well. If you can't figure out a procurement process, how could you figure out what's best for this province?